回来。那么接下来
Welcome back. We are going to have another round of panel, and the topic is about gaming. We all understand that the gaming sector is full of potential and imagination, in particular in metaverse. Have you ever played XR game? I tried one of them. It's called Beat Saber. Beat Saber is just like how you cut the fruits on the metaverse. You can see a lot of fruits or lots of blocks coming to you, and you need to try to eliminate them, and that is quite exciting. And we also have NFT and blockchain. All those fintech are combined with the gaming sector, and they can create a new ecosystem which is worth over $1 billion US. Without further ado, let's invite Evelyn back on the stage. She will be joined by several experts on gaming technology.
a big part of all those terms we hear a lot about, including the metaverse.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad we have Edward Tian. He's co-founder, CFO, and Chief Strategy Officer of WellLink, and also Tian Sung, who is an AI and NFT artist, as well as Matthew Graham, founder of Ryze Labs. Thank you all so much for being here. Well, I think the underlying technology, the infrastructure behind the games of the future really lies in something called cloud rendering, but Edward needs to help us break it down.
Okay, let me explain what is cloud rendering. So let me ask a question. How many of you here who actually didn't change your phone in the past 3 years, particularly for gamers? Would you raise your hand? Okay, not even 5%. Okay, so you see, computing power is what we need when we use applications or play games. So in the past few years, we see the quality of games is increasing amazingly at amazing speed. But the computing power from your devices can hardly catch up. We see the Moore's law is no longer valid. We don't see huge increase in the computing power. And that's why we need to change our phone every other year or so, or laptop, to catch up with the games or with other applications. But imagine in the world, in the movie Ready Player One, the Oasis, immersive experience, hundreds of thousands of people in a same single future virtual world. What kind of device can support that? So that's what we do. WellLink thinks the cloud rendering is the only solution for the future metaverse. And imagine if you have a helmet, VR helmet, XR helmet, maybe 4K or 8K resolution, and you can see the people, like real people, meta-human, and you interact with hundreds of people at the same time. No single chips can support that. On the other hand, we see unlimited rendering power from the cloud. And with 4G and 5G, we can use real-time rendering to support the most high-quality content, the virtual reality applications, to give people immersive experience. That's what we see in the future, the only way to build up Oasis in the future. And that's what we do. And we believe that's the only way we can go into a virtual world and have a second life there.
So simultaneous, real-time, everyone seeing different things in the same virtual world. That's what I'm kind of getting at here. Yeah. Tian, maybe you can talk a little bit about, what is this kind of technology, or maybe blockchain technology? What does it mean for the kind of art that you're able to produce that's different from what we might know traditionally?
Thanks, Evelyn. There will be a physical asset. There will be a card, and all the color you saw in this card actually is made by AIs. And I use over 1 billion data set from all over the world, every corner of the world, open source, of course. And I use those kind of color to be the, it's a Buddha sculpture from 1,000 years ago in China's traditional culture. And also it's my Tsinghua University bachelor degree's paper, graduating paper. So I think when facing cutting edge technology, and nowadays the contemporary arts creators, they have to figure out the question about what is humanity and what is the robotic, what's not is humanistic, and what should we do to face their challenge? For the generative AI, I delivered 4 short films last year, and I won 23 Global Film Festival awards. For the OSS, for the Ready Player One, it's a word made up of the creative digital content. And some of the content, they're made by human beings, and some of them are just made by AIs. So I think when it comes to the game industry, the generative AIs supply such a useful tool to update the content. Meanwhile, a lot of people, they will say that game is another kind of art, and willing to admit or not that children, like they're born 10 years ago, they're familiar with phones, they're familiar with computers, they're familiar with virtual reality since they're just babies. So maybe in 10 years, in 20 years, there will be a new defining art, new defining culture dominated by them, that the reality they thought in the future, maybe not the same character we're talking about nowadays. So I'm really looking forward to some creators, they could use strong humanistic literature thoughts, meanwhile combining them with cutting-edge tech to make something we will be proud of in 20 years.
And Matthew, as an investor, does that make you want to buy this art or some kind of project? How do you think about the space? Where is the money?
Sure. So I'm an investor in companies, but not so much art. I don't think I'm the best person to ask about art. But certainly, we're extremely excited about GameFi and crypto in general. I think all of us have seen in our own lives how the percentage of time that we ourselves and people around us spend in the digital world increases basically year after year. And so in our view, basic human behaviors are not going to change, but what we're going to see is that these behaviors will be manifested in the place where we spend our time. So for example, in terms of someone that spends most of their time in the analog world rather, it's human nature to want to show off, to flex. This is like a very basic human behavior that most people have in some degree or another. So maybe you buy a Lamborghini and maybe that's how you show off, or maybe it's in some other way. Doesn't necessarily matter. But the fact is that now we're spending our time in the digital world. People are going to want to show off in the digital world. NFTs with different types of rarities and things like that are potentially a way to do that. Similarly, we love to appreciate art in the analog world. We love to go to galleries. We love to see it on our walls, even if it's just a print. And that's going to be true in the digital world as well. We're excited because this is where people are spending their time. And we're excited because this is the beginning stage of seeing this wide variety of human behaviors. I only give a couple quick examples, but all of these will be manifested in the digital world. And that represents an enormous investment opportunity for us.
And how do you think about the gamification aspect? How do you figure out what would be a healthy, viable business, given all the regulations, given all the hype? What are 1 or 2 factors that really stand out to you?
Sure. So that's a little bit tricky because first we have to say gamification. There are many non-game software applications that use gamification techniques to keep us hooked, basically, right? This is a known thing. They want to have us, for me, my weakness is Twitter, as some people know, so they want to, how can we get them to refresh it, spend more time on Twitter, right? Uses gamification. But in terms of gaming, in terms of digital gaming, World of Warcraft, things like that, basically in the Web3 context, in our view, there are 3 things that have been holding us back. So number 1, the first wave of games. We did have some breakout hits in some form or fashion, but the first wave of games were more akin to having like a DeFi project and then a little gaming skin on top. The gaming experience was not what was first and foremost. It was about economics only, or for the most part, rather than having a fun gaming experience. There needs to be a challenge and there needs to be gratification, not just economics. So that was a very significant problem in the first wave of games. What we're seeing in the marketplace is that this is very substantially being rectified as the quality of game developers that are building in Web3 continues to increase. That's number 1. Number 2 is the Web3 gaming economic models are very substantially more complex than Web2 in a variety of ways. And we're just beginning to understand how to have all kinds of things in balance, sinks and faucets and traders and all these different things need to be in balance to have a token economy that is long-term sustainable rather than extremely susceptible to bull and bust phenomenon. That's number two. I think we have a long way to go with that. I think that we know a lot of things that don't super work. There will be multiple right answers, and we will converge on some basic principles, and then there will be a lot of different ways of doing things around the margins. We have a long way to go on that, but we have made some progress. And then number three, which is why what Edward is working on is so important in our view, is ironically, because in many aspects of crypto, such as decentralized finance, the infrastructure in some ways is actually overbuilt compared to the current marketplace needs. That is not true in gaming. So we're extremely bullish on gaming-related infrastructure. We view this as tremendously important because in most cases, not all of the game is going to be on-chain, but you need to have in-game functionality that takes place at the speed of gaming rather than being constrained by could be many different things, by cloud computing related latency, by blockchain speed, things like that. That's just one example, but we need to have the necessary infrastructure to be able to have tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of concurrent users when we do have breakout hits.
Yeah, I totally agree with what Matt just said. And there's one more important thing is you can see the result is how a game can attract people who want to spend money there. There are two types of players in a market or in a game. One is you want to get some product or some experience out of it. You put money in. The other type is you want to get money out of it. It's buyer and the seller, right? So in a gaming, in a GameFi, if all the people just want to get money out of it, it became a scheme. It become investment market. If it's an investment market, there must be some people lose. So if it's a real gaming experience, it's attractive, then you can see a lot of people, they want to spend money there, just get experience. So you can see how many people go to a game just to say, oh, I can spend $50 there, or it's like going to a entertainment amusement park. Then that's a good game. So this is what you can see when you see a project. If everybody is like, oh, I want to make some money out of it, then that's not going to be sustainable.
Very strongly agree. Look at fantasy football, for example. Sure, in some fantasy football iterations, you can make money by winning your fantasy football league. But the reason that works in a long-term, healthy way is because people love playing fantasy football. It has to be a balance between challenge and gratification and economics, rather than just one of the three prongs. Excuse me.
In my eyes, I started my NFT research at the year 2019. Now I'm looking forward to a smarter and more sustainable token economy inside the GameFi projects. As Matthew just said, we are looking for a sustainable token economy. So we have already seen that so many NFTs are using GameFi as pull-ups, as some prompts, as some prizes. Okay, fine, but what could make the real commercial economy commercial in some way to make GameFi go longer? That's a question for all the entrepreneurs. For second, I mean that during the mass adoption, the goal we're tracing for all the GameFi entrepreneurs have to take the social responsibility on educating, because how to play the game well instead of hurting health and other health like mental health, different kinds of health, is a question worthy to discuss, because now blockchain is developing so fast. A lot of the problems cannot be solved. If we are looking forward to a more healthy and sustainable GameFi industry, we have to solve that.
And as an artist, I think there's always, debates about what is art, and now you're bringing technology into it. How do you understand the role of a human in art?
To bring the deep thoughts and the most sublime creativity And for myself, I want to do a responsible artist who will be responsible for my art to enlighten more tech innovation and new things instead of repeating the commercial cycles. I think art has a very special role in the whole NFT and blockchain development. I think art is a front face, and art is easy to understand. Not for myself, maybe for more audiences, more easy to understand. But you could understand. For art, there's another mission I think art should take is doing the science popularity. So if my goal is to let a lot of developing countries' children know what is blockchain and what is AIs, and I wanted them to do good things using those tech tools. So I started several workshops in Peru, Laos, Vietnam, Indonesia, and then South Africa to teach the children over 13 years old to use AI to make films. Most of the films are around the sustainability development of the world. So I think we are now at a very early stage of all the cutting-edge tech, including the VR, XR, metaverse tech, and the blockchain tech, and the AI tech. Education is very important because the answer to solve those questions maybe not happen yet, but it will happen in some day. We have to do the ethnic and science popularity preparation.
And for WellLink, I know you're also working in virtual people. How do you think about kind of maybe the ethical parts of that? What will our world be like when we have a lot of virtual people?
Yeah, in real life, you are talking to a real person. In a game, you are interacting with another person. There's a player behind it. But with the development of artificial intelligence, you don't know who you are talking to. And that creates some maybe problem in the future. So that's what we can see today is a lot of young kids. They don't speak to each other, they text each other. And now they use social media to communicate with each other. So if you are too familiar with the virtual world, you don't have social pressure, right? You can say a lot of things. That's why we see a lot of bad things happening in the internet. People can say dirty words, whatever, because they don't know who you are, who I am. And if you are too familiar with that kind of world, you don't need to have a sense of responsibility. And particularly, you can hide behind a meta-human. You don't know who that person is, and they can never find out that person in the real world. So you can do whatever, you can say whatever it is. So the good thing is, with responsible artists, investors, we can educate the future generation what is responsible behavior, and we provide good content. That's why content is important. So you can have a game, you can simply shoot people, kill people, and also you can create another world where you can get a reward from some good deeds. And by helping people or create some type of art, there's some games built up around that kind of theme. So that's a way to influence the people. And you can bring the good gaming experience with cloud rendering like what we do now. People would love to be in that world. There's one project we are doing that is about the future. In the moon, actually, you can help senior people, lonely people, to work, to discuss, and to experience the new world in a virtual world. We call it the Palace of the Moon. And that's how we teach people, the future generation. You can have love, you can have a sense of connection in the virtual world. That's what we do.
Is that something you'd invest in?
That falls more on the content side, which I think is a little bit trickier for our company DNA to try to make extremely intelligent investment decisions about that. But certainly anything that's infrastructure is extremely right up our alley. So,
But I think we also do need to think about some of the sustainability, the
for
ethical
sure,
aspects.
enormously important. Enormously important.
And I'm just curious, like how does that factor into some of the decisions you make in this very hot topic?
It factors into our decision making a lot. We actively will not invest in things that we view to not be sufficiently pro-social, even if we think they're likely to be big hits. We have 100% not invested in things for that reason.
Got it. Well, we're pretty much...
And quite loudly, actually, as well, especially with regards to dystopian orbs.
Well, we're pretty much at time, so I want to thank the three of you so much for giving us a glimpse into the future and for your work in trying to make that a healthier place. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you,
everybody.
everyone.
Thank you. Cheers.
Set to grow. China is the biggest market, and generative artificial intelligence is already changing the industry, especially at the primary care stage.
The patient